Happiness? Well, that's being held hostage by people who profit off of your dissatisfaction. They don't want you happy. A happy person stops spending. And if you've ever impulse bought a Himalayan salt lamp at 2 a.m., you know exactly what I mean. Get the job, find the love, buy the house, work hard, save money, then you'll be happy. Happiness was never the goal. Selling the idea of happiness, now that was the goal. I used to literally scream at the sky, why can't I just be happy? Right? Like happiness was some kind of vending machine, and I just kept pressing all the wrong buttons until I was out of quarters. I thought that if I worked hard enough, figured out the right formula, then maybe I would finally get there. But here's the part that took me way too long to realize. I never even stopped to ask what I was chasing. What does happy even mean? And how will I know when I'm there? That's the scam. They sell happiness like it's a place you can arrive at. Like one day, if you just hit all the right milestones and do all the right things, you're going to wake up and finally feel like you made it. But no one ever tells you where there actually is. The worst part is that we don't even question it, right? We assume it's our fault, like we missed a step somewhere. Like if we just worked harder, made better choices, stayed on track, bought more journals and highlighters, maybe we'd finally get there. But have you noticed? No one ever seems to actually arrive. And the reason for that? It's not just about keeping you on the hamster wheel. It's about making sure that you never stop long enough to see the cage, right? Because once you do, the whole game changes and they start losing. And I'm going to tell you all about that in just a few minutes. Happiness became one of the most profitable business models in history. The entire narrative that life follows a structured step-by-step path to happiness wasn't just a cultural shift. It was manufactured, reinforced, and then sold back to us. Look at advertising from the 1950s, for example. It wasn't just selling products. It was selling an entire life script. The white picket fence, the nuclear family, the cushy retirement. These weren't just cultural ideals. They were the most successful marketing campaign of all time. And let's be honest, half of that dream life was just women pretending they loved to vacuum while their husbands chain smoked in the living room and called it providing. They made happiness look like something you could purchase: a car, a house, a vacuum, a job title, each one packaged and sold as another step towards fulfillment. And here's the thing, it worked. People bought in, and when they didn't feel happy, they assumed they just weren't doing it right. It was never about making people happy. It was about making people predictable. A structured, formulaic life makes you an easy consumer, right? If everyone believes happiness is just something on a checklist, they're going to spend their entire lives trying to complete it. And if you're always chasing, you're always spending. And now, it's not just about selling happiness anymore. It's about performing it. Social media has turned happiness into a competitive sport, and the winners are the ones that look the happiest, not the ones that actually are. I have some bad news. The entire system is engineered to keep you slightly dissatisfied. Every ad, every social media post, every algorithm is designed to poke at your insecurities just enough to make sure that you keep scrolling and you keep buying. Have you ever noticed that when you feel fine, your feed suddenly reminds you of all the things that you should be worried about, right? Aging, retirement. Are you financially stable? Why don't you own a home yet? Shouldn't you be meal prepping instead of watching this video? They don't just sell happiness, they manufacture lack. Because as long as you feel like you're missing something, they've got something to sell you. And I fell for it. I did everything that they told me would make me happy, right? I played by the rules. I bought into all of it. But no matter what I achieved, I never actually felt happy. That was something that I worked on a lot in therapy, figuring out why. I spent years untangling that mess, trying to understand why happiness always felt just out of reach. And the more I dug into it, the more I realized that I wasn't the only one. They engineered a system where happiness is always something that you have to earn, never something that you can just have. This system is built to keep you chasing. And if you think I'm exaggerating, just wait until you hear how deep the scam actually goes. For me, it always felt that happiness was always just out of reach, right? When you're in school, they tell you that you'll be happy once you graduate. Once you graduate, you'll be happy once you land a good job. When you get a job, they tell you happiness comes with a promotion. Then, when you get engaged, you'll be happier when you're married. Then when you're married, true happiness comes with kids. Then buying a house. Then it's retirement. They say you'll know when you get there. But exactly when is that? After the job, the marriage, the house, the grandkids? The nursing home? Where is happiness? Do you see the problem here? At every stage, you're told happiness is just one more step away. And every time you get the thing that you were promised would make you happy, that feeling doesn't last. The goalposts never stop moving. And here's what I want you to hear. Happiness has never been, nor was it ever meant to be, permanent. It was always about moments, not a finish line. Happiness isn't a final destination. It's just pit stops along the way. Some are big, some are small. Now, if you're waiting for some grand moment where everything clicks and stays in place and it's all perfect, well, you're going to be pissed. We have been trained to believe that happiness is a permanent state, something that you can achieve and then hold on to forever. Like one day, if you suffer hard enough and work long enough, you will unlock happiness mode and just vibe peacefully for the rest of your life. But real happiness isn't one thing. It's not a job title or a relationship status or a number in your bank account. It's moments. It's a mix of emotions, joy, contentment, even gratitude, but never just one thing and never all the time. And if you don't define what happiness means for you, you're always going to feel like you're failing at it because the version that they're selling us, that was never real to begin with. We've all had that moment where we finally got the thing that we thought would make us happy, and then we felt nothing. There was no confetti, no fireworks, just meh. What was yours? What's the thing that you were so sure would change everything, only to realize it didn't actually make you feel any different? Drop it in the comments. I want to know how deep this scam really runs. Meanwhile, self-help books have become a billion-dollar industry, promising that happiness is just one mindset shift away. And if you think that trend is slowing down, go to the New York Times bestseller list. Every year, the same 5 books with a different title. Same grind, different font. They just keep repackaging the same advice. Wake up earlier, drink more water. Have you tried journaling? Bro, I'm hydrated, exhausted, and I'm out of cool pens. What now? As of February 2025, the top 3 hardcover nonfiction books and 4 of the top 10 paperback nonfiction books are self-help or self-help adjacent. That's not an accident. That's demand. Because as long as people feel like they're missing something, there will always be someone ready to sell them the answer. Now, I've learned that happiness isn't something that you achieve, right? It's not something that you unlock like a video game level. But they can't sell you that version of happiness, so they sell you the chase instead. It's like one of those claw machines where you keep trying to grab the prize, but the system is totally rigged and you're never going to win. Just maybe a cheap stuffed animal, which is like your entire life. They freaking hijacked happiness and turned it into a business model. It's a scam, a well-designed, highly profitable scam. And the best part, they make it your fault. Maybe you just aren't grateful enough. Maybe you need to practice mindfulness. Maybe you should meditate, journal, read this book, listen to that expert, or buy this program. No. The problem isn't that we're failing to find happiness. The problem is that we're all set up to fail. Because actual happiness, that doesn't scale, right? But convincing you that grinding your way to happiness will. That's a billion-dollar business. But here's where it gets even messier, because they didn't just try to sell you happiness. They sold you a lie that is the most dangerous of them all, and I want to tell you about that, okay? First of all, you don't deserve to be happy yet. That is the unspoken rule in this system. Happiness isn't something that you're supposed to have. It's something that you get after enough suffering. You have to prove yourself first. You have to grind, hustle, sacrifice. Then and only then do you deserve to even just feel okay. But if exhaustion and sacrifice were the secret to happiness, wouldn't everyone be happy by now? It's just repackaged guilt. The belief that pleasure, rest, or enjoyment must be justified, that struggling is a badge of honor, that exhaustion means you're doing it right. But let's be honest, a corporation will never hand you happiness for your years of loyalty. A bank account will never personally congratulate you for finally saving enough to relax. And a self-help guru, they'll never tell you, actually, you don't need my advice, you're doing just fine. Because the second you feel enough, they lose their grip on you. There's a lot of ways that people keep us chasing the happiness dream. They tell us that we're not grateful enough, disciplined enough, strong enough. But who actually benefits from you believing that? It's probably exactly who you might think. Corporate America needs you to believe that your job is the key to happiness. Work harder, climb the ladder, stay loyal, and then you'll finally have a life worth living. But every promotion comes with more expectations, not more happiness, right? More stress, not more freedom. The self-help industry thrives on making you feel broken. If you were actually happy, you wouldn't need their books, courses, or 5-step morning routines. They can't sell you a fix unless they convince you that something is wrong with you. Meanwhile, the people selling this crap are in the back chugging Red Bulls and crying in the shower. The beauty and wellness industry is built on making sure that you never feel good enough. Honestly, if people actually liked themselves, entire industries would collapse overnight. The financial experts, the hustle culture influencers, the life coaches who swear they've unlocked the secrets to happiness for the low, low price of $997. They need you to feel like you're falling behind, like you're not doing enough, like happiness is just one more sacrifice away. So if this whole system is a scam, what actually makes people happy? If money, status, and achievement don't guarantee it, then what does? The answer is much simpler than you think, but there's a reason that they don't talk about it. So you and I are going to talk about that next. Why do we act like happiness is supposed to be constant, right? Like it's either on or off. When someone asks you, are you happy? They're like expecting some big definitive answer, like happiness is a permanent state that you either have or you don't. But that's not how it works, okay? Happiness isn't one thing. It's all the little moments. So what actually makes people happy? Well, it's the stuff that no one can profit from, like time. Not productivity, not efficiency, just having time to exist without feeling like every second of your life has to be optimized for maximum output. Autonomy. The ability to wake up and decide what you're going to do with your day instead of being forced into a life that feels like a prison. Gratitude. Connection. Real deep human relationships, not transactional networking, not social climbing, not fake friendships built around looking impressive online. I know how hard it is to find that kind of connection these days, and that's why I've made space for it in my one-on-one chats. If that's something that you need, you know where to find me. Enough money to live. Not generational wealth, not rise and grind hustle culture, just enough to exist without feeling like survival is a full-time job. But none of that is profitable, so they don't talk about it. What if the real thing has been right in front of you this whole time, but you were trained not to see it? We seem to believe that happiness only counts if it's constant, like it has to be a full-time state of bliss instead of being just moments that happen along the way. Happiness isn't waiting at some random finish line, right? It's in the moments that you were told didn't count. And honestly, I see it every day. Do you know how many times I catch myself smiling at a comment that one of you left? A million, maybe more. Some of you will just drop a single little sentence, something simple, something funny, something real, and it just hits because that is what happiness actually is. I feel it the most when it's just me, Posey, and my husband, Doug, doing absolutely nothing. No plans, no productivity, no milestones being checked off, just existing together. Posey stretched out across both of our laps, me curled up under his arm in that little Sheila-shaped spot that he's got, the laugh track of the TV. These are the moments where I'm not thinking about what's next. I'm not chasing anything. I'm just there. I'm present. And it's perfect. I'm grateful. I'm happy. Maybe the reason that so many of us feel unhappy isn't because we failed to reach happiness. Maybe it's because we were too busy trying to make the version that we were being sold work for us. Because when I look back, the happiest moments of my life weren't milestones. They weren't things that I achieved. They weren't things that I bought. They were the tiny, forgettable, everyday things, the ones that no one makes motivational quotes about. And the second I stopped chasing all that crap that people were selling, I finally saw them. Happiness was never something that I had to deserve or earn, but they needed me to think that it was, because a person who stops chasing is a person that stops obeying. The funny thing is, the best moments of my life were the ones that I almost didn't notice at all. The ones that don't come with an achievement badge or a look at me Instagram post. And when I finally stopped chasing, I started seeing them everywhere. So for 30 days, I paid attention to the smallest moments that actually made life feel good. It turns out the happiness that they sold us was never real. But what I found instead, that was. This is one of my older videos here, but it still makes me smile, and I wanted to share it with you in case you hadn't seen it yet. Watch us here and see what I found.